with coverage you can count on. This is Erie News Now at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mike Ruzzi.
And I'm Eva Master-Matteo. Thanks for being here with us on Erie News Now at 5.
Breaking tonight, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf has announced new coronavirus restrictions.
Erie News Now was first to report that these new restrictions will go into effect at midnight. The governor says these new restrictions are based on new data at the state level.
And we have live team coverage tonight that you can count on. Ethan Kibbe spoke with Erie County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper. Isaac Pedcast traveled to Crawford County, which saw a serious spike in newly reported cases today.
We, though, begin with Cody Carlson in Harrisburg. And Cody, you were there at the governor's news conference that wrapped up a short while ago. It's mainly going to impact these restrictions, Pennsylvania bars and restaurants. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Eva, and good evening, everybody. These are statewide orders, and like you said earlier, they're taking effect at 12:01 tonight. Now, under this latest mitigation order, bars and restaurants are going to be limited to serve customers at a 25% capacity. Now, that's currently instead of the 50% capacity. Now, customers must also purchase food if they're going to be purchasing alcohol as well. Bars that don't offer food must stop selling alcohol for on-premise consumption. Essentially, bars that don't offer any food are going to close because of this latest order. Now, bar service will also stop. Food and drink can only be served at tables or booths. Outdoor seating and food and drink takeout are still allowed, however. Nightclubs and dance clubs, those will close as well. Additionally, indoor events and gatherings will be restricted to just 25 people. Outside events remain at 250. Governor Wolf says he's using information gathered about the virus over the past few months to create these new restrictions.
We know that the virus appears to be primarily airborne, so we're placing more limits on indoor activities. We know that the virus spreads rapidly in crowds, so we're limiting crowd sizes in situations where people are likely to gather close together, such as bars.
Now, this announcement comes as the state health department reports nearly 1,000 new cases today. Again, these latest restrictions go into effect at 12:01 tonight. Live in Harrisburg, Cody Carlson, Erie News Now.
All right, Cody, thanks so much. But right now we have a look at the latest coronavirus numbers, not only in Pennsylvania, but across our region. There were 7 new cases of the virus reported in Erie County today. In Crawford County, 21 new cases. And we're taking a closer look at those Crawford cases in just a minute. But Warren County reporting 1 new case today, Chautauqua County 3, and 1 additional death. In Ashtabula County, Ohio, 1 new case reported today as well.
Meantime, Erie County reported 7 additional cases today.
And in her news conference, or daily news conference, Erie County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper applauding efforts today to stop the spread of COVID-19 at the state level. Our coverage continues with our Ethan Kibbe, who was on the county executive's call today. And Ethan, you're in our newsroom now. What was the latest from that call?
Mike and Eva, good evening. As usual, a busy day in Harrisburg makes for a busy day here in Erie County. And even though our numbers remain relatively stable here when it comes to new cases of COVID-19, businesses here will still have to adapt to those new statewide regulations. County executives and county leaders saying that the new measures will further damage the already suffering tourism and other businesses like hospitality here in our region that our area depends on every year for the bulk of our economy. Despite that, they say they're glad for this new statewide approach because a county-by-county patchwork of rules just wouldn't get the job done.
The one thing I do like about this is consistency across the Commonwealth. I think when we have varying degrees of what can be open and what cannot and what can happen across the Commonwealth, it gets very confusing for our residents.
Even though those businesses are taking a hit because of this new regulation, there might be some good news for business owners and for workers at those businesses. I'll have those details coming up for you tonight on Erie News Now at 6. Until then, live in the newsroom, Ethan Kibbe, Erie News Now.
All right, Ethan, thanks. Meanwhile, Crawford County, as we mentioned, saw its biggest one-day jump in cases with 21 new cases reported today.
But local leaders believe the majority of those are coming from one location. Our Isaac Pedcast spoke with county commissioners today and joins us now in the studio. So, Isaac, what led to this spike in all those cases.
Well, Mike, Eva, as Ethan was saying, stable in Erie County, stable in Crawford County, it is not. Crawford County Commissioner Eric Henry tells me the climb today is due to a number of reported cases at a Conneautville elder care home. Now, the name of the facility is called Rolling Fields, and it houses elderly community members in Crawford County. Now, county commissioners say the home has already reached out to ask for additional personal protective equipment, which the county is currently working on. Now, the spike in cases today brings Crawford County as a whole up to 101 total since the pandemic began. Today's daily total 3 times more than Erie County's count of 7 positive cases. Now, county commissioners are wary that COVID-19 totals could increase in the coming days as we near 2 weeks following the July 4th weekend. What they don't want is for the county to have to restrict business again. They say today's numbers could provide a wake-up call.
We all are committed to making sure we can continue to move forward and get our economy still running, of course, but we want to ensure people understand that we don't want to go backward with numbers, and those cases are kind of scary to all of us, I think so.
Now, Crawford County leaders also told me they fear some businesses aren't following the current mask mandates. And coming up at 5:30, I'll tell you whether or not they believe this could lead to an even bigger spike in cases in the coming days. Isaac Petcash, Erie News Now.
All right, thanks, Isaac. College sports will not take place for the remainder of the 2020 year in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Another big hit during this pandemic. Erie News Now was the first in the state to bring you the information. So where do the plans go from here as they prepare to try and move fall sports into the spring? Our John Leidick was the only local TV reporter to sit down with the commissioner of the conference.
So, John, what does the outlook look for sports in the months ahead?
Well, Mike and Eva, take a good look as these iron fences and gates are locked, and they'll stay that way for a long time here behind me. But the decision was announced this morning at 9 a.m. However, it had been in the works for a couple of weeks, even months, a process to decide what to do this fall. Now, the PSAC Board of Directors intends to play fall sports in the spring. While planning is already underway, there's still plenty of challenges that lie ahead as we await a return of sport.
Football fields and other facilities in the PSAC conference will remain without competition till at least the turn of the new year.
Nothing that we didn't look as stone unturned in the conversation.
The discussion ending in a final decision to suspend fall athletics. The conversation now shifting to how to prepare to combine both the fall and spring sports seasons.
It's going to be a rough 4 months or so in the spring, but we will make this work.
Planning now well underway between conference officials and schools on how to accommodate games at facilities across the conference. From doubleheaders to alternative sites, Murray says plenty of options will be presented.
What day of the week football could be played? We could look at a Sunday, because of facilities. So, there's going to be some things that will look a lot different, perhaps.
The conference hopes to have a full plan in place for how to maneuver the obstacles of a packed spring by Labor Day. But a big item schools and PSAC officials are waiting on is testing requirements from the NCAA
about
for
where coronavirus
each institution.
data will now.
That is a very expensive proposition right now. If it's available and how much is the turnaround. So we were hearing stories this week as much as 7 to 8 days on a turnaround if you could even get tested.
Now that testing, that's the big factor when I talked to the commissioner. Now, as he mentioned the fact that this could play the major decision on whether if and when they return in the springtime for all sports at the collegiate Division II level in the PSAC. Coming up next half hour, Dan Bartels is talking to 2 of those students and their reaction to the decision today. That's coming up at 5:30. For now, though, live in McConnell Family Stadium, John Leidick, Erie Sports Now.
All right, John, we look forward to that report in the next half hour from our Dan Bartels. Meanwhile, the After Hours Club in East Erie, specifically at 22nd and Wayne Streets, known as Club Energy, is officially closed tonight, and the owner has plans to now turn it into a community center.
Erie News Now reported last night these plans were in the works. And our Lisa Adams joins us now live outside the building. She has been on this story all week. So, Lisa, it's no longer Club Energy?
Oh, that's right, Mike, and even no longer Club Energy, and I can show you some changes here already. A big sign that says no trespassing, no soliciting or loitering. If you come over here by the doors, they're boarded up with a giant keep out sign and a blue coat sign, community begins with me. All signs that this club, as the neighbors have known it, that sometimes attracted loud and unruly crowds and gunfire, is over. So for this spot, those changes that Erie City Council is looking at tonight won't matter. In a news conference earlier today, building owner Anthony McGowan and former city councilman and Light Center Ministries pastor Curtis Jones announced that they plan to turn this troubled night spot into a community center for children, not adults. They're appealing to existing neighborhood centers, the Sisters of St. Joseph Neighborhood Network, Booker T. Washington Center, churches, and leaders to help them make it happen. Now, after the club operators faced a mounting list of citations, their lease with an option to buy is now up, and the plan is to reclaim this building for something good in the neighborhood and hopefully put a stop to the bad behavior, including a lot of gunfire, noise, and public urination that's gone on outside of it.
What we're talking about today is not an indictment on those business owners and those entrepreneurs, not an indictment of negativity on anyone. That just wasn't a good fit for here.
It definitely will not be open at nighttime. I've already posted some of the no trespassing signs, no loitering signs. So once the crowd understands that Club Energy is closed, I don't expect them to be coming around and just hanging around late nights, anymore like they were doing.
So even though they have the idea and the signs say so, this idea still has a long way to go. There would have to be rezoning, and there would have to be rehabilitating this space, as well as raising funds to do this, something that the organizations that already serve this neighborhood struggle with themselves. But there is support for the idea, and I'll have much more on that coming up at 6 o'clock. Live at East 22nd and Wayne, Lisa Adams, Erie News Now.
All right, Lisa, looking forward to that story. It was supposed to be a special year for fifth graders at Asbury Elementary School. However, classes ended abruptly in March due to coronavirus.
Yeah, so many people, so many students and families adjusting, but teachers and administrators still wanted to give the fifth graders there something nice to remember, so to speak, before they move on now to middle school. Our John Last is joining us live from our remote newsroom to explain exactly what was done. Hi, John.
Well, Mike and Eva, leaving fifth grade to move on to middle school is a big deal, but the coronavirus ruined all the celebration and the pomp and circumstance. But teachers and the principal at Asbury Elementary are making sure today that each fifth grader does not leave the school without a personal goodbye. Saying goodbye with a personal touch. Fifth grade teachers from Asbury Elementary are honoring their students during this unusual school year that ended so abruptly. They have gifts to present to the kids, and they are delivering them personally. The school initially was going to hand out the gifts in a drive-through format at the school.
And then the teacher said, no, we want to get it ready. We want to deliver it. We want to make it special for our kids. So, the teachers kind of drove this, let's drive around and have a caravan.
The teachers and principal are driving to the homes of all 98 fifth graders. It will take a lot of time and gasoline, but these students deserve it. They missed out on fifth grade graduation and honors assembly. They missed out on the annual Asbury tradition of a fifth grade class trip. But most of all, they missed saying a personal goodbye to their teachers, and the teachers missed it just as much.
We have found that no closure for our adults and for our students was the difficult part, and because our teachers spend a lot of time with our kids and they make such amazing connections.
The students received a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and a bag with the McDowell Trojan logo. They also got a personal message from each of their teachers and their principal.
Just to say we care about you, we miss you, we wanted to recognize you in large part because we needed to say goodbye.
Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll hear more from the principal, and we'll also hear from a student. Reporting live from the remote newsroom, John Last, Erie News Now.
John, thanks. Stories like that just warm my heart. All right, 3 critically endangered species recently joined the Erie Zoo family. Today, these baby lemurs were introduced. There were 2 boys and 1 girl. They were born C-section to Maddie, the mother lemur at the zoo. Now, a 4th little baby did not survive, but the 3 surviving babies have been kept in an incubator thanks to AHN St. Vincent and Highmark. It is not the first time the hospital system, though, has partnered with the zoo. They have done other programs as well. They sent those onesies along that, of course, the little animals didn't get to put on. But coming up on Erie News Now at 5:30, we are getting the details from the Erie Zoo President Scott Mitchell about how the public can view the new babies on a zoo webcam during certain parts of the day. Want to stick around for that?
No doubt. That'll be fun to watch. And nice day to be out and about, so why not head out to the weather deck? Joe Curtis in for John Stalen tonight.
Hey there, Mike and Eva. Yeah, we've got a great afternoon out here. We've got a nice breeze outside as well, but it is a little humid outside, so just keep that in mind when you're headed out. Make sure you drink lots of water. But we do have a lot of sunshine across the region in Erie County. You look up on our Skyview camera, Idaluca Chiropractic Skyview camera, and things are looking great, but you can see a little haze to the sky. That's kind of the humidity that's out there this afternoon. Temperatures across the area into the 80s, 84 in Erie, 82 in Waterford, 83 in Meadville, 82 in Warren, and things are looking pretty good tonight. We're not tracking any showers or storms out there. We're tracking partly cloudy skies with temperatures falling into the lower 70s, so it could be a good opportunity for you to be outside, view the International Space Station. You'll actually have 5 opportunities to do that overnight, but yeah, we will be dealing with a little bit of cloud coverage, so yeah, lots of opportunities to go up and see it hopefully. But tomorrow we are tracking some showers and thunderstorms. Some of them could be strong to severe, and I'll detail those for you coming up in just a couple of minutes.
We look forward to that, Joe. Thanks so much. You know, after months of being closed, the Chautauqua Mall in Western New York will reopen tomorrow. And ahead on Erie News Now at 5:30, we get a closer look at what is changing the next time you might go shopping there.
And with 4 months to go until the presidential election, a new poll is showing some surprising results. We're breaking down all the numbers after Joe's full forecast.
This is Erie News Now.
Erie News Now is 2020 election coverage you can count on. A new poll out today shows Democrat Joe Biden leading President Trump less than 4 months before the general election.
But a majority believe there are many so-called secret Trump voters who could make a big difference on Election Day. Senior reporter Paul Wagner has been looking over the poll released by Monmouth University in New Jersey. And Paul, it certainly seems encouraging for the former vice president.
Yeah, that's right, even Mike. Of course, it's only mid-July. We have a long way to go until November, but clearly in Pennsylvania, it looks good right now for former Vice President Joe Biden. Let's take a look at these results from Monmouth University. You can see right now that among registered voters, Biden leads President Trump by 13 points, 53 to 40%. His margin even wider among independent voters. Now, let's take a look at swing voters. This includes counties, including Erie. There seems to be overall erosion of support for President Trump in these swing counties. The poll shows Biden leading Trump 54 to 35% in those counties. But in a twist, this is really interesting. The poll actually shows a slight majority. You can see Trump, a slight majority, 46 to 45%. They believe Trump would actually win the election in November. Now, the pollsters say one reason seems to be most voters think there is a lot of so-called secret voters who support the president but won't tell anyone, including the pollsters. Many think Trump's real numbers are much higher than the polls suggest in swing areas like Erie County. Pollsters think voters remember 2016 when Hillary Clinton was leading President Trump. They think that's why the poll certainly looks good for Biden on the surface, but there certainly seems to be an opinion that Trump is much stronger than the polls really suggest. Now, the telephone poll of 400 registered voters was conducted between July 9th and the 13th. The margin of error is plus or minus 4.9%. Paul Wagner, Erie News Now.
All right, thanks, Paul. And changes have been rolling out across Erie's bus system. We'll tell you what you need to know before you board. That's up next on Erie News Now.
This is Erie News Now.
Paying bus fare will look a little different the next time you ride the E. The Erie Metropolitan Transit Authority installed a new fare collection system over the weekend. It's a $2.56 million upgrade to the buses. EMTA officials tell us that the system hasn't been updated in 30 years, and this new system accepts standard bus passes and U.S. currency. All right, Eva standing by with a look at what we're working on for Erie News Now at 5:30. Hi, Eva.